Meet Vain Matthew. Everyone hates Vain Matthew. Even though Vain Matthew is good looking, he is an interesting person with a lot of passions and interests. But the world is cruel. The world shows no mercy to Vain Matthew. They spit on him. They throw pitchforks at him. Burn in hell, Vain Matthew! Now meet Humble Matthew. Humble Matthew is the only person who cares for Vain Matthew. He approaches Vain Matthew and says, "Look, I want you to feel good. Therefore, if you want people to like you, I have something for you." And Humble Matthew gives Vain Matthew that one book titled How to Win Friends and Influence People or something. No, I haven't read that book, but I have heard a bunch of good things about that book. But I think the things that I will say today are probably in that book as well. So, basically I have felt hated. I used to feel like nobody likes me. Over the past year, for example, every single girl I showed interest in, like they were not interested. They were super cold around me, and if I managed to get their phone number or their Instagrams or any contact details, and I was like texting, "Hey, you wanna meet up for this event? I'm going to this event." All of them were like, "Oh, sorry, I did not see your message. I was busy today. I am busy today." And so then I always heard, "Oh, if a girl does that, then she is not interested in you. If she were interested, she would make it very clear." But no girl ever made it clear to me. And I was like, I don't understand why. Because I was an amazing person, I thought. Because people used to say, if one girl is not interested, then you just weren't the right one for her and don't take it personally. But I felt like if every single girl is not interested, then there has to be something wrong with you. And I was like, I realized that something had to be wrong with me if nobody was interested. But I could not figure out what it was. I tried to figure out what was wrong with me, but I think later it was because I was desperate. I was desperate for a girlfriend, and that can be seen as off-putting. And so I was like, I don't need to put my happiness in hands of girls, because that's like low-value man behavior. I will instead let my source of happiness come from this YouTube channel. And I received a lot of hate and little to no love and support. And my videos performed poorly, and girls were still not interested, and I felt like basically everyone hated me. And everyone was cold and awkward around me. People hated me everywhere, and I could not understand why. Because I was like, I love myself. How can other people not love me as well? And so you can imagine how frustrating for me it was to hear, "Just love yourself, bro. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect someone else to love you?" Because I was like, that's the issue. I love myself. And so I was like, if I appreciate who I am, then someone else should logically also appreciate who I am. And so it did not make sense to me. It did not compute that I was the only person who loved myself and that nobody else would love me. However, I think I later realized what was the problem with me. And I think that is the problem. That is the problem because when I started working on this problem, I have noticed that people were less cold around me. And I started receiving more positive comments under my videos here. And so what I realized is this saying that goes something like, people don't remember what you say or what you do. People only remember how you make them feel. And there are two meanings to this. The first meaning is the thing everyone always talks about. You can be ugly, awkward, uncharismatic, but that won't matter if you can make the other person feel good. They can still like you as long as you make them feel good. But here's the other meaning that no one ever talks about. You can be good looking, charismatic, an amazing person, but that won't matter if you can't make the other person feel good. Because if you can't make the other person feel good, then they cannot love you. And that was my case. Because I was like, I thought I am good looking, I thought I am interesting, I thought I am an amazing person. But the problem was that I neglected making other people feel good. I was too self-absorbed. And I talked too much about myself, for example, and I did not involve other people in my conversations. And watching Red Pill Manosphere did not help, because they teach you to be the best version of yourself, but they don't teach you how to make other people feel good. And so, when you watch Red Pill Manosphere, you basically become self-absorbed. And so I understood that being the best version of yourself won't matter if you can't make people feel good. Now, how do you make people feel good? Well, some examples include, but are not limited to, telling jokes, making them laugh, encourage them, be supportive of them, let them talk about themselves, because people love talking about themselves. So give them that opportunity. Meanwhile, examples of making other people not feel good at all is, and not limited to, once again, being negative all the time, complaining about everything, putting others down so that you can feel better about yourself, smelling horribly. If you don't wear deodorant, people will get physically disgusted while being around you, and being physically disgusted is a surefire way to not make them feel good. And so I realized that being an amazing person does not matter if you cannot make others feel good. Because making others feel good is what matters. And so I realized that whenever you talk to someone, whether it's a pretty girl, a handsome man like me, or maybe not me, basically, it's not about you. It's about them. Don't be the main character. Let them be the main character. That's what I realized. And when I started basically working on that, I have seen some quite tremendous results.